I first started dealing with Jon Berk probably about 25 years ago. He was a lawyer in Connecticut. We had a good rapport. I loved the collection he was putting together, and I was able to, and fortunate enough to help him put the collection together over many, many years. The part about Jon's collection that I find particularly special is the appreciation that he had for what he was putting together. He wasn't looking for collecting the newest trend or the hottest books. He was sort of a visionary and a comic historian who wanted to put together the history of comic books, and he wanted his collection to represent the history of comic books. So he had a broad selection. He had superhero books, he had science fiction books, he had things that appealed to him and things that he loved.
I couldn't believe that we were going to be the ones to bring this amazing collection to market. Between the comic books and the art, I think it's one of the best collections ever assembled in the world of comic book and comic art collecting. What makes the Jon Berk collection so unique and how it compares to other collections is that you have a collection here that has incredible depth to it. To give you an idea, we had to process this collection and put it into our database. And oftentimes, we're entering a book, and it's the first one we've ever had with the Jon Berk collection. That doesn't happen. Metropolis Collectibles is the largest buyer of vintage comic books in the world for over 30, 40 years. So we've had pretty much everything. When I'm seeing does not exist in database over and over again, and everybody else in the office is telling me something like that, I know we have a very, very special collection. It was incredibly educational and mind-boggling to see books that I've never seen before, having been doing this for over 30 years.
I think, like most, I started, collecting's the wrong word, I started reading them as a kid, and my parents took a rather dim view of it, so even though I remember reading Justice League of America, I stopped reading comics as an early age teenager. Then I went away to prep school, and what happened in prep school was I got introduced to these new guys where they would have continued stories, and this was the Marvel explosion. And again, I read them. I didn't view it as collecting, and then what happened is I stopped, went off to college and law school. When I came back that summer, probably after 8 years of not looking at it, I said, they still sell comic books? And then I saw Spider-Man over there, and I said, they still make Spider-Man? And they said, yeah. And so I got it, I looked at the Spider-Man story, and I read it. And then in the back of the book, it says, we sell old comics. You what? People sell old comics? I found this person, who was Bob Bell, went to his place and started to buy some old comics. And starting in the end of law school, I just started to read and to collect. And where things changed was when, after getting a Marvel collection together when I was about 25 or 26, I discovered Timely and the Human Torch, and that there was a world and a universe before Spider-Man. There was the universe of Captain America. There was the universe of the Human Torch. And that's where I got the Golden Age bug. And I was very curious how things came together. I got into the Golden Age and what I would call pre-Golden Age. Pre-Golden Age being before Superman, but taking you right up to June of 1938 in Action 1, where things convalesced and we got a superhero universe that was not known before. And I was very interested in tracking down the early publishers like Everett Arnold and Harry Chesler, and Eisner had an early shop too. So all of these things added to my interest because I was very fascinated with the history of why did these guys do what they did? How did they do what they did? Were they happy with what they were doing? From there, I started writing articles in comic books, especially the ones that were not well known. I mean, who cares about Crash Comics? Who cares about Our Flag Comics? I did, and many of them are up here today. and some of the wonderful art that these guys created. So it was a slow process, but I didn't mind going slow. I never did think about the money. I thought about how much fun this was and how important this was as a part of American mythology. So I would spend a lot of time finding the right books, filling in blanks, and sharing the information with other people. You know, a lot of this, and giving the artists their due. And it was a laborious task. For instance, would be, I have a full Centaur collection. Well, it took me 20 years to put that together. So you have to have a little persistence, you have to have a little, this is what I want to do, and you got to have a little luck. And I think I had them all.
First of all, CGC is the oldest and the best company for grading comics. There's an incredible amount of knowledge and expertise at CGC that allows for books like this to be graded and understood properly. Second of all, the CGC census is an incredibly valuable tool. It tells people how rare these comic books are, and when they start looking up the Jon Berk pieces, they're going to understand the incredible rarity involved in this. Also, the registry sets is another part of the puzzle that is very important to collectors. For a lot of people, it's a kind of a competition, and they're able to do that. CGC is the only company that has a registry set, so it's a very important part of the puzzle that allows for, I think, a larger amount of excitement for the collectors who are going to be bidding on this and then eventually own it and be able to show off, I have this copy from the Jon Berk collection.
We wanted a consistency to all the books. We want them to have them in, obviously, CGC graded holders, because I felt that that would be the best way to bring the comic books to market in a consistent CGC fashion.
I thank these, Vincent and Steve, to give me the opportunity to get this out to the public, and I hope people enjoy it. But think about, there's more to it just than the comic book. It's the story, it's the business, it's something that I've enjoyed with a passion and will continue to have a passion for.